This is Clean Conversations, and I'm so lucky to have you here today.
Thank you.
I went to see you on stage. You were doing, or you are these days, doing your Unlocking the Mind tour.
That's right, yeah.
And I suddenly felt like I needed to have this chat with you because everything that you are talking about on stage, it kind of adds into everything that I'm interested in my journey on becoming clean. We are going to talk about energy, and we are going to talk about how changing your energy actually can change your life, which I have personally experienced. And you are hosting this convention that's called Unlocking the Mind.
That's correct, yeah.
Can you please tell me short what is...
Yeah. Unlocking the Mind originally, obviously, for those that don't know, for the last 10 years, I've been studying ancient knowledge, ancient research, also quantum physics, quantum mechanics, the power of the mind. And I've been very, very interested, and I've been traveling to different locations around the world, gathering information that's not normally available or that's been suppressed. And like everything else in life, I like to put the pieces together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. So I wanted to understand where all ancient religions and knowledge came from. I wanted to understand where it all began, the power of the mind, and what we really are, or where do we come from. So all these big questions that we have sometimes in our lives, but obviously we never really look deeper into them because life always distracts us, of course. But it didn't distract me. So obviously some people go around thinking about certain things, and I'm going around thinking about on a quantum level how we're all connected, how everything is energy, and how we basically can create our own reality with our minds, backing that up with scientific facts, also going back in history over, in some cases, ancient knowledge of 450,000 years. It's mind-blowing.
Because the reason I want to talk to you about this is because I feel like it deeply resonates within me and my own experience. Because I have changed my life, and I have changed my own energy. The interesting part is, where do you start? How do you do it if you actually want to make a big change in your life, in your reality? Where do you go from?
Awareness.
It's
your own individual level or understanding of awareness. You know, you don't know what you don't know, basically. You know, it's the same with any subject. You know, if you go to school and you study to be a car mechanic, you know what? You can fix a car, but you can't fix someone's heart, or you can't paint a picture. Or, you know, you're very limited to your knowledge. And it's the same with the human species. It's the same with the human mind. And it's the same with who we are and what we are. If you don't have an awareness of what we are on an energy quantum level, and once you have an understanding of that, and you connect that with the research and the knowledge of the human mind about the subconscious and the conscious and how that all works, and then you connect that back to quantum physics, and you find out the things you find out about the human mind, that's where your level of awareness changes. So I could start on round one is obviously the who we are and what we are. In the present moment, obviously, we are all made of energy. We're all made of atoms. And when we go to school, we're taught upon Newton's theory that everything is made of atoms, and that's matter, basically. And it stopped there, you know. And it was the neutrons, the protons, and a nucleus, and that was it.
I remember.
And then obviously, you know, as scientific minds and perseverance, things changed, and we got more technology. And obviously, we don't know what we don't know, but we find out more because we learn more. And what happened is that when they started looking into an atom on a quantum level, what they found was that the atom itself was actually made of 99.9% invisible energy. And what we do know is that this invisible energy is vibrating constantly. And every atom has a unique frequency. So if we take a little step back and just look at that from a big picture, that means that everything in our entire universe, everything we are, even our consciousness, everything is energy. And everything is connected and everything is vibrating. Now, when we think about our own lives and our own reality, once you have an awareness that everything is energy and everything's connected, what we do know, scientifically proven, is that the atoms are obviously what make up our brain, for example, but not our consciousness. But we do know through the latest in scientific development that the human mind is both a transmitter and a receiver of frequencies, just like this microphone. So whatever you're thinking and feeling is what you're sending out. So if you want to get a visualization on this, if you're stood at the ocean and you drop a stone in the water, it's sending out those ripples. Now, it doesn't matter as far as the human mind's concerned, because your subconscious doesn't know, it lives in darkness. It doesn't know what's good or what's bad or what's right or what's wrong. It only knows what you feel and what you tell it or what it knows. So those ripples, there can be positive or negative. Now, what we do know is that our atoms interact and connect with everything else in the world. This is why they say you can create your own reality, because this is the fundamentals of all ancient teachings, is that be careful what you think, because it's not what you think in the present moment, it's what you think in 99.9% of the time. So, obviously we have the law of attraction, which came out after the book and the film, and obviously people jumped on that. But it was kind of interesting when you see 90% of people got no results from that. And it's very easy to answer, is because they were basically in a small moment in the here and now. I'm healthy, I'm a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. And they're sending out these positive vibrations for a very short space of time. And then the subconscious, the autopilot kicks in, and then they're going back to sending out negative vibrations 95% of the time. That's why the reality never changed.
So let's say me, I was a drug addict for 13 years. I often thought to myself, tomorrow I will stop using drugs. And I really believed it for like the 1 to 5 minutes where I was thinking that thought. And what you're saying now is that I've been present with that thought and that feeling that I am going to stop using drugs. And then something happens and I go back to this subconscious
autopilot, basically.
So
I don't think that's just with drug abuse. I think if we can talk to anyone that's listening to this show, if someone's depressed or sad or emotional or all habit, a subconscious is just a habit basically, and all habit is an autopilot. So, this is where, people can be depressed and sad and they constantly find it hard to get out of that. We have people that have a poverty mindset, and we have people that are always worried and stressing about their health. And you see, it doesn't matter whichever kind of life you look at, people get stuck in loops.
The loops. So it's all about breaking the cycles. It's about breaking the loops.
Everything is cycles.
And it's about changing one cycle with another cycle.
It's about changing vibration. But yes, it's you slowly have to. It's like, I'm thinking on a quantum level, it's more like a dimensional theory. If you can imagine there's multiple worlds out there, there's multiple choices. Every choice you make now has 20 million different opposite things that can happen.
Yeah.
So but when you're doing something on autopilot, you're basically on a straight line. You're on a timeline. And right next to you, if you look to the left, there's another timeline. You look to the right, there's another timeline. But if you don't change anything, nothing will change. You will continue down the same train track. Because if you like I say, if you change the way you look at things you look at change. It's all about being in the present moment and understanding, okay, right now, here and now, every emotion that I have is the same emotion I had yesterday. And if I don't change right now in this present moment, tomorrow will be exactly the same. And the cycle will continue. Whatever it is, emotion, work, whatever. It's all about the decisions you make in the here and now and staying in the here and now.
So what can I do on a day-to-day basis to like train my own awareness?
Auto-suggestion. Okay, so we know that the human mind is divided into two parts. We have conscious and subconscious. We just basically brief on that. So your conscious is your present awareness that you're here now. You're having this conversation with me. This is your conscious.
Mm.
Everything else is your autopilot, your program. And that comes from your childhood experiences, what you was taught in school. This comes from all the fundamentals of religion. Everything we know comes from our subconscious. Okay, so in order to break the cycle, we need to reprogram the subconscious. Now, this is where it gets tricky because we got, like I said, 99.9% of the emotions that you have are already pre-programmed. And if something goes against your natural belief, you will dismiss it. You know, it's the same, like I say, you can have a conversation about religion. Somebody believes in this, somebody believes in that, and their vibrations are completely different and they won't meet in the middle. But it's the same with also with your life. You know, if you get to the understanding that, okay, my emotions, the way I think and feel is because of a program I have. And I need to change my perspective on that. Because it's like, let's just say a small example. If you're going to work every day and you have a conflict and you say, I hate my job, I hate the people around me and everything, but you feel like financially you can't quit your job because you're stuck in that loop. You can't change every single person at work. You cannot use your time to try to win or buy their friendship. You cannot waste your life on these things. But what you can do in the present moment is you can change your perspective. You know what? You can say, okay, that's them. I can't change them, but I can change the way I look at them. And the best way to look at them is say, you know what? It's okay. My level of awareness is a little bit different to yours. You're in your reality. I'm in mine. And you just move on. Leave the negative behind and just move on. You can't, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But if the student's not ready, there'll be no teachers anywhere.
Where do I find the motivation that I need to change my life?
Okay. Where do you find? Well, I'm just going to think on this one a little bit because I want to be
Take your time.
I really want to be careful what I say here because, you know, I think everybody wants to change their life, to be honest with you. I think everybody.
We all do.
I think that's human nature. We all want. The problem is that we get stuck in what's called acceptance. We believe that this is how life is. There's nothing I can do about it. It's not my fault. Those people over there were born lucky. He's better looking than me. He gets all the girls. You know, whatever. We just take acceptance. We never take self-reliance or understanding. So, as I said, it's a level of awareness. So I think anyone who wants to change their life, like really wants to change their life, and understands that they have the power, both mentally and physically, to change everything and everything around them. I think when you understand this, everything is possible. The problem is that this is why I do what I do, because I want to get that knowledge out there. I want people to feel fired up. I want people to motivate, to take control of their mind, understand that everything's energy and say, you know what? I'm going to change my life for me because everything is possible. You know, it's like life is very simple. And this is the same for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're healthy, not healthy, rich, poor, intelligent, not intelligent. It's not about anything to do with the different levels of awareness. But you're either going into a storm in life, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. It doesn't matter. You know, the truth is that shit will always come. It's just how you deal with it. It's your perspective. Okay? This is tough. I'm broken inside. I'm crying myself to sleep. My whole world has fell apart. But you know what? This is going to make me stronger. And when I come out of this, it's going to be a whole nother life. This is what I needed. This is the universe's way of giving me the tools to be stronger, to do something greater. But what happens is most people, they get these negative things in their life and they fall and they break and they give up. But what they didn't realize was if they'd have took one more step, they would have seen the gold at the end of the tunnel.
You basically always have the choice to like go downward in this negative spiral.
You can get up.
Or you can actually see the crisis because life will throw crises at you.
We live in fear, you know. We live in fear and we're scared of the unknown. And the truth is that, like I say, the mind wants to keep us in the same routine. It just wants things to be safe. So if your mind feels it's safe going around being depressed or going to the same job every day or not being creative or not traveling the world or expanding, you know, we all have dreams, but the problem is that we define them as dreams. The word dream, I think, should be completely banned in the English language. We should not have dreams at all. We should have goals. When you say to yourself, oh, one day, you've already shot yourself in the foot. One day, it's not one day, you're in the present moment. You're going to say, right now, I'm going to work towards what I want. Right now, in the present moment, you know? And this is what it's all about. We're back to the mindset. And it's very easy to say, you know, it's not my fault. Okay? It's not your fault. But it's your responsibility. Right now, what are you going to do with it? You can't change them. You can't change certain things, but you can change you. And it's the same with everything in life. I think we have to be in the present moment. And we, like I say, we just have to take control and say, you know, here we go again. Let's do it.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
You're speaking about emotions. Why do you think things happen?
Well, obviously, the emotions come from the subconscious as well. We're programmed to feel and think certain ways. And the secret is obviously we have to connect the heart and mind. I think what's kind of important is that we know from ancient scriptures that there was two kinds of emotions. There was fear and there was love. And, you know, and all scriptures talked about staying in the love vibration. They actually said vibration. They didn't say the word love, but it was like more of a yin and yang, a positive vibration. So they knew everything about the human mind 12,000 years ago. It's kind of interesting. And you know, we have two main amazing. Everything we do in life that's positive. We have children. We get married. We save an animal. We do things that's positive because of love. And everything we do that's negative, wars, designing atom bombs, starvation, killing people, misusing people, everything we do that's negative is when love is not present.
How do we live a life where love is as present as possible?
I think we have to overcome fear first, because some people are afraid to let those certain emotions come through. You know, we have blockages, mental blockages. And like I say, we're back to the autopilot of the brain. We're controlled. Like, if you think about it, how powerful is the mind? I mean, like, for someone listening to this now, it's like, you imagine when you was a child, you was laid in bed at night and there was a monster under your bed, right? The heart went faster. Everything was so real. You were scared. You're screaming, Mom, Dad, there's a monster under my bed. And in that present moment, everything was real to you. Now, what happened is when you grew up, your level of awareness grew up. You realized eventually there was no monster under the bed. The monster under the bed was your own mind. And that's where the key was. But that's just one thing. But if you can imagine that on every other perspective of your life, it's you versus you. It's not you against your ex or your partner or your boss or all the people that hate you. It's not anyone.
I am the devil.
You're the both.
I am, and I've really experienced this myself. And it always comes back to this question: do I live in fear or do I live in love? And my experience is that the more aware I become, aware about my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own subconscious mind, the more often do I experience this situation where I actually do have a choice. It's like, wow, right now I'm watching my inner devil thinking negative thoughts or wanting to make negative choices for me. And as soon as I'm aware, I don't have to just obey and do whatever my inner devil wants me to do.
The subconscious, you know, that's the thing. It's that's the real heart stopper right there. Because like I say, it's very easy for us to get stuck into an autopilot, into a routine, because it's easier. And the hard work is working with ourselves. You know, there's only one job you should have in life, and that's working on you. You can't change anyone. Like I said, you just have to constantly try to get self-awareness, self-development, you know, and the more you learn about yourself, the more creative you become. And this is the secret, you know. A lot of people keep things inside. And I'll be guilty of that. I've been studying this for 10 years. And I was kind of afraid because obviously I'm English and I'm living in Norway and I have some amazing friends like Lily Bendriss and some other people that are in this field. And we talk about certain things. But I was afraid to put this knowledge out there. And I was afraid to that people would, look at it the wrong way. But I see times are changing. But there's one thing I came to understand, and this was like the aha moment.
Mm.
If we have things in here, then they die with us. When we die, everything stays with us.
Mm.
And if we put it out there, at least it has a chance. And when I'm dead and I'm gone, everything I thought, everything I felt, everything I learned, at least I left that echo behind me.
Yeah. Many of my biggest breakthroughs that I've had on my healing journey has been in these moments where I'm actually speaking my truth, when I am actually speaking about my biggest fears. I still remember the time when I said out loud that I feel somewhere deep inside of me that I'm the most lonely person in the whole universe. And I feel like no one will ever reach in to that loneliness. And I'm hurting because of this truth. I remember saying it out loud in a room with about 20, 30 other people. And from that moment on, something changed.
If I take it a little bit away from your personal experience and put it into like a more of a populational experience, if you think about humanity as a race, can you imagine in that moment, in that room, you said something. You put everything you was out there. You sent out the energy and you said, look, this is me. This is how I feel. And those people in those rooms, they took your energy, they connected. And how did you feel? Good.
And connected.
Because they sent back what you sent out, okay? So in that small group, energies, you sent out an energy and you got back what you sent out. In that small moment, in the present moment.
But you know what? What I sent out was my fear.
Yeah.
Negative energy. But what happened?
The
What
positive
happened?
was you was doing it.
I feel like I'm understanding it right now. I sent out my negative energy.
No, you pushed it out.
I pushed it out. My fears. I shared it.
What was your fear?
My own loneliness.
Okay, and how do you I want to psychologically do this now because this is awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your biggest fear was loneliness.
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you get rid of loneliness? By sharing it with other people.
I shared it.
So you think you were sending out a negative emotion? You wasn't. You was just letting it fucking go forever.
Yeah.
You shared it with those people. You said, "This is me. This is the truth. This is the first time I've been open about it," and bang.
And because that's the source of my humanity, right?
Yep.
And I think that the people in the room connected to my human experience.
They connected with your vibration at the time.
So we connected to each other through sharing our fears. And then
sharing your vibrations.
So my fear, when I shared it, they turned it together with me into a frequency of love.
A higher frequency of positive. Yeah. The higher the frequencies go, the more positive it is. People in low frequencies, low awareness, low understanding, it's a very low vibration. And we see this in human nature when we look at things from a blade of grass to what it vibrates to the sun. It's very interesting how the frequencies are divided. So I think the higher the frequency is, and I do know scientifically that the more people connecting on the same frequency, the more higher the vibration. The more higher the vibration, as we would call in human terms, love, the more feeling of goodness. And if you think about it on a world scale, if you look at the world, we are at many wars. We've always been at war. We have so much civil unrest in the world. And in the beginning of time, we were supposed to be one species, one vibration. Because if you think about that on a quantum level, if every person on the earth was vibrating the same, the whole planet would be a planet of love and harmony. But unfortunately, we're divided by politics, religions, everything. We've always been divided, and there's a reason for that. Because if we all started vibrating on the same frequency, we not only change our individual reality, we would change humanity's reality. And that's a whole nother podcast. But there are things in this world that the last thing they want is for us all to connect and vibrate the same. So, but we can't do nothing about that. There's a lot of things in the world. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of information. But right now, in this present moment, the only thing we can do is how can we change our lives? How can we give and how can we share on a positive level? It's like I've been sitting there studying, like literally in the office, just studying and gaining knowledge. And nothing positive came back. I got knowledge, of course. When I started doing these events and TV and stuff, people were like calling me going, Jesus, I'm so happy you told me this, because now it's like, it changes everything. It's like, so I see that the more I do, the more positive I get back. And for me, it's just about giving people the keys to slowly unlocking their own mind and their own potential, because I truly believe that we all have the potential to create our own reality, and we can only do that by ourselves and our level of awareness. And at the same time, I think it's important that we're aware of our environments, what kind of people we have around us, and we really need to consider what energies we let in and what we don't. I think that's kind of important. And I've talked about this before. I mean, I've walked many different walks of life. I've recreated myself more times than I can remember. And I found that every time I changed environments or changed people around me, the Harley Hanson kind of life got better and better and better. And the journey's not over yet. If I can do this, then I can't stop and I won't stop. I'm just going to keep going. Full potential, any potential, everything's possible.
Harley Hanson, can't stop, won't stop.
Never.
Thank you so much for joining Clean Conversations.
Thank you for having me. It's been emotional.
Thank you.